Vast Warrior, and welcome to my channel, where we learn how to be like an anime character or a video game person you've always wanted to be like. Today we're talking about giant swords. Mostly swords like Cloud Strife or like Guts, or any other giant sword user you may think of. Think about it as this. When you see this, this is a small sword. The thing about it is, this sword isn't even a real one, it's a fake one. Well, it's a model, but the thing about it is, swords, the reason why they're small is because they're made to be fast. That way, you can hit the other guy before they can hit you. That's kind of been the whole point of swords since the beginning. Thus why some people prefer daggers over swords. Because daggers, being small, they're really easy to quick stab with. While a sword, true, it has more reach, but first of all, you have to pull that thing out, and once you have it out, if someone gets up onto you, true, the sword will be able to hit them, but if they're close enough, that knife's going to be a whole lot better. What is this though? The problem with heavy swords is gravity. When you are holding a heavy sword, you aren't holding the sword. The thing about it is this. Say your sword is about 20 pounds. This is a 20-pound weight. If I had a 20-pound sword, I'm not actually holding the 20 pounds like this. I'm not going swing. Because if you did that, you wouldn't even be able to swing the sword. You are holding a fraction of the sword's actual weight. If anything, if I took this right here and put a stick on it and held the stick, that's what you're actually holding. But what you're trying to do with the actual sword itself is keep this weight up here in the air so you can use it. But as you see, even me doing this is hard to do with a 20-pound weight. Well, 20-pound weight isn't really that much of a problem. I'm just saying that if you had a sword that's 20 pounds, you're going to have problems swinging. Now, let's look at styrofoam. This right here weighs about 5-6 grams. If you made Cloud's sword out of this stuff, it'd probably only be, at the most, like 5 or 6 pounds. And if the sword is 5 or 6 pounds, it's gonna be so light you could like swing all day. Even if it was as big as Cloud's sword. Now, this thing though, styrofoam doesn't cut. Unless it's really, really sharp, and even then, it would break as soon as it cut something. Now, the thing about it is, when you're holding a giant sword, you have the weight of all of this, while you're just trying to hold this one little part. This right here weighs about 12 pounds, which would be about the average weight of a regular sword. But the only thing about it is this is hollow, meaning it's extremely, well, it's not light, I will tell you that, but still the point is there's no blade on it. But if I filled this thing up with water, it'd be like 35 pounds, and it would be impossible to hold. Here's the thing, if you like trained your whole life to hold something gigantic, you could hold it, but that would be like as soon as you were able to grow muscle mass, someone handed you a 20-pound weight and said, here, carry this, and then you never let go of it, except for maybe when you slept. But here's the point, a sword as large as Cloud's, true, you could probably drag it, but then if you were in a battle, you'd only be able to get like 1 or 2 good swings before you were tired out. Because if I had to drag this huge sword, all I could do is this. and then I would like fall over. Unless the guy was super duper slow or so terrified of me. And that's the thing, the larger your weapon is, the more scared someone is going to be of you. Because the thing about it is this, if someone sees you with this huge gigantic weapon walking towards them, it's pretty intimidating. But if they have like this tiny old weapon, you're going to be like, okay, they're probably fast because they have a tiny weapon. You're going to be less scared. Here's the thing, a weapon shouldn't just be for intimidation, unless it is a gun. I'm sorry, my pipe almost fell on my cameraman. This is a plastic gun. Super duper light. Not very durable. But if made right, and out of the right kind of plastic, it'd be able to shoot. Because the military has made guns out of high capacity, like plastic. This, of course, being a Nerf gun, if you shot a bullet out of this thing would break or explode. Think about it as this, though. This gun was a real gun. This thing would be heavy. Like, you could carry it around. But you wouldn't be carrying it like, I'm the strongest dude in the world. You'd be carrying it like, oh man, I have to chuck this thing like 15 miles. But here's the point though. The point is this. Let's go back to the giant pipe. Let's go back to gravity being the most important thing in the universe, even if scientists think it may not be true. Gravity not real? Doesn't make any sense. So you've always been taught. But here's all that matters. Even if gravity doesn't exist, there is something that pulls everything to the ground. And you gotta think, do you know how when you hit something, it bounces back at you a little bit? That is kind of like recoil. Recoil is the bullet from the firepower is pushing the gun back. Let's pretend that this is a World War II Panzerschreck. If you don't know, it was an anti-tank, German, I'm pretty sure, an anti-tank rocket launcher. The thing about it was this. This thing was so huge and so big that you had to have two people hold it sometimes. And if one person held it and held it wrong, it would completely break their arm. But here's the thing though. Because the gun has to shoot something so heavy, the gun has to be heavy. Because the heavier a gun is, the better. Because recoil. The thing about it is this. The gun has small bullets that don't have very much firepower to them. The recoil will be very bad. If the gun is big, but has big bullets, it'll even it out. But if the gun is small, but has big bullets, there will be very high recoil. Thus, why shotguns can be small, but have such a big kick. It's because of the firepower of the gun. While Panzerschreck, boom! You're gonna practically drop the gun when you shoot it. But here's the thing. You want to know how to use or be able to get a giant sword. Here's the thing. If you had a giant sword, say this was actually like Cloud's sword, you would have to completely build up your leg muscles. So much, in fact, they were like the peak of your physique. How much time do I got, cameraman?
9:20.
Okay, good. Here's the thing. You would have to get your legs strong enough to even hold the thing. The thing about it is when people hold things, they hold it over their shoulder. When you hold something over your shoulder, you're not really doing any exercise. If anything, it's just your legs and your shoulder holding it up. The problem, though, is this. If you are going to hold it, you have to have your legs in a certain position to swing. Because if you try to just swing a sword, you're going to pull your back out. And believe me, if you pull your back out, you're not going to want to fight. But here's the thing. If you are going to hold a giant sword, you're going to want to hold it to your shoulder. Why? Because smash. Thing about it is, you're not going to want to carry around a giant sword like this all the time. Have you ever noticed how in video games, huge gigantic bosses with gigantic swords rush you? The reason why that is because this. A giant sword, even be it you be some super being, will still use a lot of energy. The thing about it is, if you're going to use a giant sword, you're not just going to want to stand in one place. You're going to want to run at someone so you can get the maximum momentum possible to hit them. Because if your sword is big enough, it doesn't matter if it has a blade on it. It is going to go through them. Because the thing about it is this, just because your sword is bigger, doesn't mean the blade is going to be sharper. If anything, it's just going to mean that the blade's going to smash through the person. The thing about it is a sword doesn't actually cut you. What it does is it pushes your atoms apart so that your body is cut in half. The thing about it is this. When you swing something in the air, it is pushing the air apart. Sword does that the same except for to your body. You're not completely solid as you think you are. Your body is made up of like practically thin air. You just think that you're a meaty, fleshy person. But no, you just have more atoms than other people. A lot more. Here's the thing. You swing a giant sword, you're going to want to hold it to your shoulder and swing it, kind of like a baseball bat. And then, the thing about it is this. When it comes to giant swords, it's not a good idea to try to do this. Because you're going to lose most of your momentum as you're pulling it up. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come from the side and then go down. That way you can get the maximum momentum as the sword is falling. Because the thing is, heavy swords just have to fall. You don't have to put strength into them. Because the thing is, if a sword's big enough and sharp enough, it's going to cut whatever it hits, no matter what it is. Unless it is metal, and then the sword just has to be bigger. That way it doesn't have to cut it, but it will break through it. That's the thing about little swords and big swords. Little swords are made to be sharp so that they cut, while big swords are made to break through things. As you've seen in a lot of video games and things, when people have big swords, most of them swing like this. The reason that is because they're trying to get all the momentum that they can into their swing. When you have a small sword, you don't have to worry about this. All you have to do is slice, slice, slice. But let's just pretend for a short time this is a batting ram. All I have to worry about is putting the center of my gravity right here and smashing you with it. Because once I hit you, all the energy is going to go into the blow. That's all. And thanks for watching.